Hey, Kadra Joe Gore here for apophatic fooding. Apophatic, an unusual Greek word that talks about what God is not. So we talk about cosmopolitan issues, big subjects, and look at them from perspectives of what they're not used to looking at them for. Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, a guy named Voltaire, Katie Bryan, everybody's got interesting points that we could all benefit from, all while we're cooking great stuff on apophaticfooding.com. Hey, Joe Gore here for Apophatic Fooding. Really cool new program about food and social issues. Today, the program is going to the dogs and cats and pigs, whatever else you got that eats. You know, if you're watching television and they got the dog food commercials and they're showing you where if you buy that dog food, you got these beautiful steaks sitting there. I can't afford them. Vegetables, everything, rice, all wonderful foods for your dog. And when you buy it and you buy a 40-pound bag and it looks like pellets, the pigeon droppings. I don't know how it gets from that steak and those veggies into that form, but for sure, the dog's not even watching, so I don't know who they're trying to impress. Probably you. But anyway, what we're going to do is follow a recipe from a nice dog food book. And I tried to arrange for a dog to be here to test the food. Actually, secretly been tested before. But due to union circumstances, the dog needed overtime pay on a day like today. It was going into a holiday, so we canceled it. But either way, talking more about dogs and food. Dogs, of course, were wolves that were domesticated probably before I was born. Now they got all kinds of breeds that, like, hello, the wolf wouldn't not only recognize, but probably eat most of them. I wouldn't like to get too religious on this program, except when it's necessary. I don't know if you heard, but the Pope got in on the idea for dogs. He recently said, and I'm not kidding, truth. He said, you Westerners, you spend too much energy, time, money on dogs. That could be going to feed people. Probably not literally the dog food, but the whole energy thing. I mean, my God, I know people who spend more on dogs than I spend on my kids. Maybe that's why they grew up the way they did. But, well, let's start on the dog food. Got some going here and do the magic of television. Look at that, huh? Switching the program, cooking. Oh, what a guy. Heat up. Now again, see, what I look into the book and what's good for dogs, it's more important what's not good for them. No salt, no sugar. Really, that's what it should be for us. Very little salt, very little sugar. But for dogs, if they don't have a choice and their system can't handle it, do not put salt, sugar, or anything that has a bunch of salt in it. I was going to put canned veggies in. Bad idea. Every time you look at canned veggies, you look inside how much sodium, what percentage of your daily allowance. But either way, let's start off with some veggies. They wanted some spring onions. Well, it's summertime, so the spring onions turn into regular onions, but they are Vidalia sweet onions, and I'm only going to put in a small amount. Get those guys going. I mean, you know, dogs all time. You watch them in the cowboy movies running around little towns somewhere, usually scrungy looking things. Like, hello, what were they fed? Dog food? Or table scraps, or worse, starved. Now we got to feed them better than us. Garlic, they can have garlic. Just a little bit, not as much as I would put in mine. This was an Italian dog, maybe. So, what's heating up here is some agua water, which I'm going to make a beef broth with. That's cheating. That'll make them really like it. And then if you really want to go whole hog, you take a piece of that meat that's in the TV commercial, or even if you knock down to chopped meat, ground beef. Then again, it's almost no matter what else you give them. But the main ingredient are the vegetables and the oats. We got these guys over here, old-fashioned 100% Kroger's. Grain oats. People food for breakfast. So I got this guy heating up a little bit. Let's see how he's doing. Nice. Then I'll get too much into the food. I don't want to poison the dog. You know, dogs, cats, I was taught a while back that all dogs are boys and all cats are girls. How did I learn that? Well, a 5-year-old niece years ago told me that. And I said, how do you know that? What makes you say that? She said, well, dogs are rough and loud like daddy, and cats are soft and gentle and warm like mommy. I said, I learned something today. So just remember, dogs are boys and cats are girls. Unless your mother's Roseanne Barr. Scratch that. Edit that out. Anyway. Well, carrots. Probably not a creature on earth that doesn't eat or like carrots. And they, of course, benefit from being cooked a little bit over raw. Such a fibrous vegetable that it's better to cook it not only for the dogs, but for you to be able to digest it all the easier. Okay, what we got? You see me on the television. Don't try to say, you got a chopper or something? Whatever you're comfortable with. Cut it into little chunks rather than these French carrots. Bad, not bad. And again, the recipe called for things like broccoli and the like. Green stuff is awfully good for everybody, including the dog. Looking good. Now, and again, with the dogs, traditionally, having gotten table scraps, I'll show you, I got some squash, etc. It's good. If it wasn't for the dog getting it, I'd eat it. But instead, it's going to go into this dish. More work, but you cook enough of it, depending on the size of the dog. Got a little dog, use a little handle. Got a big dog, and you adjust appropriately. It'll come in more handy later. One size doesn't fit all. Now, first time I made this, I said, I'm not dog food. This is the way I eat. That's the truth. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. This is almost exactly the way I eat. I don't put the oats in only by choice. I have my oats in the breakfast, and this is usually a dinner type, lunch type, leftover type meal. Got a little broccoli, cauliflower. What could be wrong about this? Right? I even got some leftover rice. Put it in. Whoops. That's hot. Fire. Hot. Caveman taught me that. Now, I even got some leftover chicken, but don't give them the bones. Dogs, well, even cats can't give any bones. But throw some of the skin in, the stuff you won't eat, table scraps, or at least shouldn't eat. And I talk about dogs. Some people think, of course, they're smart, police dogs, etc. Yeah, a lot of people think they're kind of dumb. Mostly because they're really smart in disguise. And, you know, you throw that ball and they'll go and they'll come back and you get a pat on the head and throw the ball again. They'll do it till they fall, drop. I don't know if that's smart. A cat, you throw a ball, yeah, you'll get it to run. That's smart. Whatever you got in the refrigerator in terms of veggies goes. You know, because I looked in that book and the recipe, and because we don't do recipes on Apophatic Food, we don't follow rules. We don't break them for the sake of breaking them. We just use our minds and say, well, hello, if one recipe had red peppers or green peppers and this and that, but this one doesn't, well, if I happen to have them around, there's certainly no reason to not use them. Good. And now what we're going to do is get some broth going here. In my case, you buy it in the can, in the jars, cans, whatever. Vegetable broth, chicken broth, beef broth. The recipe doesn't really care. Water is, of course, for the oats. So water works. But we don't want to punish our little creatures and make them drink water, even if it's in a recipe like this. So I'm making some fresh beef broth. The creature's going to much enjoy the extra effort over water. We'll get a little liquid in there before the beef comes up. Like a fancy chef in a restaurant. If I can only get some flames coming over the top. So this broth happens to go pretty easy. You bring water to a boil, throw it in, you let it dissolve, sit for a minute, and you've got some nice broth for people or for the dog. What else we got? I thought I mentioned I had some aging, not unlike me, veggies. Just cut off the parts that ain't as pure and neat as driven snow. And put that in. All of a sudden the dog at least has a purpose, helps you get rid of the stuff that you probably wouldn't want. But there's nothing wrong with it. Take off these little areas here. I would eat them seriously tonight if weren't using it up on this recipe. That's one thing good about veggies versus things like meat and chicken and fish. Doesn't go rancid bad right away. Just gets a little discolored, unpretty. Okay. Some of this going. All right. You notice you don't have to put too much liquid in until after you put the oats in to start sucking it up. But animals, dogs, cats, probably every animal that I'm aware of, they don't eat and drink. We're over there, we're having a glass, having a bite of food, another sip. No, time to eat. Eat. And then they'll usually move over to the water bowl and lap it up. You don't see them going, food, lap it up. Food, lap it up. Spaghetti, mushroom. We're going to make them a deluxe version. Anything you don't have, don't say, oh, we don't have those items. I can't make it for a dog. Yes, you can. Just don't use mushrooms. Don't use squash, whatever you got that you use. We're even going to have to put in some, this is cilantro. I was looking for parsley. I didn't have any nice stuff, so I let it go. Get a little more liquid going for one time. Again, jalapenos, bad idea. Don't test their digestive system. That's for us dummy people. I happen to like them. No, I love them. Could do a whole show on love sometime, really. What love is and what apophatically it isn't. Well, what do we got? We weighed in on a bunch of stuff, and the dogs, everybody's got their dogs, and they're really about your ego. They say, some people say, who is it? Is it the person starts looking like the dog? I guess more than the dog looks like the person. I'd have to feel sorry for that person. But they say taking on the characteristics or facial expressions of the animal that they take. The guy wants a German Shepherd, a macho thing, and little lady wants a little poopsy, hairy little thing. Everybody's familiar with it. Recently, they redubbed the world's ugliest dog. In this case, it wasn't even all that ugly, but I gotta admit, I want it in my neighborhood. But the dogs, they're about ego. I mean, what do you want this creature for? Most of them can't do what they're supposed to do, work, shepherd animals, protect you. Dogs I know run away before if somebody knocks on the door. So, about ego. And that's why probably more women wind up with dogs than guys, because they got the double feature. I mean, if somebody's in a room and one of the two breaks wind and farts, she says, bad poopsie, don't do that. So got the great excuse. That's what the dogs are about, making life easier for the lady, because everybody knows women don't do that. But now comes to the good part. We throw some of this stuff in, quiet, cook it. Just the same stuff you use for breakfast, a lot of fiber. Dogs will love that. You buy off-brand, a supermarket brand. It's the same stuff that's in the brand with the old Southern Gentleman on the box. It's like, hello, you think the supermarket opened up a factory for producing this stuff? It's the same exact stuff. It's just cheaper. Okay. We're getting there. Okay. Kill this stuff. Look at that. Dog food. Let this go in a couple of minutes. Yeah, like this age, I don't want a dog. I don't want any. I used to have some goldfish. Kind of easy. I could actually go away for 4 or 5 days, maybe feed them a little bit more before I left. Come back and they're fine. They never missed a meal in their mind. So I can deal with goldfish a little bit. You don't have to walk them. But the dogs, you know, even if you have a normal dog that kind of takes care, you got to walk them a few times a day. You got to feed them. I don't know a dog that doesn't need a doctor, a vet every now and then, if only to get the preventive needles and the clippings and everything else. Hello, when you're above 65, you don't need that. God didn't make you that old to be raising any kids or anything. Don't need it. I don't need anything that eats or poops to take care of. And I'd often say, sorry, dear, with you being the exception. So, but I don't need this commitment for life for some silly dogs. I'd rather be saying, oh, somebody walking by, oh, what a cute dog you have. Now, one of the other things we're going to put in, well, either parsley or, in this case, cilantro, because dog breath. Right, that's how gentrified we are. We worry about things like that. And whether the word worry is really the right one, but we're concerned. Some cilantro. Let me get some more of that. And old Poopsie gets treated like the Buckingham Palace dogs. Buckingham Palace have dogs? Well, they probably have to. It's obligatory like the White House. There's got to be an official dog in the White House. I'm not going to go there. Try and stay away from politics for a few minutes. So, now, what do you think? That looks like people food to me. Really. And yet, of course, it's a recipe for dog food. So, and like I had mentioned earlier, the dogs, they eat. You got to let it cool down, of course. And then they have a glass of water or lap up some water. I should have brought the dog bowl. But if I don't have a dog, what's the difference? But I'm thinking, what kind of a wine pairing would you do with dog food? Because, like, the reputation is some old people who are desperate poor. They buy canned dog food because it must be cheaper than tuna or something. I don't even compare the prices. And they wind up eating dog food. Now, who wouldn't eat this? But if you're a person, especially from the upper class that I come from, you gotta do a little wine pairing. So I figure what better to do than maybe a nice $2 chuck would be apropos. Be right with you. Right? So we'll take a little bit. I just ate dog food. Nice pairing. You know, with dogs having such good schnauzers, they're probably more peculiar as to which wine you might offer them. But don't! Remember, no salt, no alcohol, no sugar. I think it's almost time for my walk. You know, we were talking about all the different breeds, or at least I was, all the different breeds, artificial ones, they crossbreed them like they do bananas or fruits nowadays. And so you and I, what animal do we align ourselves with? Who do you think you'd want to be if you were going to come back as an animal? Or came from what animal? Me, I'm a coyote. Coyote. Not a pretty machine. Hello, I can relate to that. But they're family-orientated, pack dogs, and they're survivalists, smart. Yep, I'm a coyote. You, I'm a coyote. You're a coyote. We could be a coyote too. Ding, da, ba, doo, boom. All right, guys, it's time for my walk. And even with dog food, before you give the dog the food or the cat, who knows, be conscious. I'm conscious of the forces and the people it took to get this food in front of us. We're thankful and deserving. Catch you on the next show. Adios.